This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Mason Jar Event Group, which is there for you when you need top quality expert help in throwing a marijuana-related party, event, concert, or any other kind of gathering. Check them out over at masonjareventgroup.com, where you can also learn about the seasonal unique events they throw themselves. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, June 14th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 743 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. This week's final top story offers some resolution to a storyline we've been covering all week following a proposed amendment in the U.S. House of Representatives that would have made it easier to study drugs listed as Schedule 1 by the federal government. Schedule 1 drugs are those that supposedly lack medical value and that have a high potential for abuse, and federal law actually bars academics from pursuing lines of study on the drugs that do not explicitly cast them in a negative light. New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced an amendment to a larger appropriations bill earlier this week that was passed out of committee for a vote by the entire House. Yesterday, that vote happened, and Representative Ocasio-Cortez's common sense bill was shot down by a vote of 331 to 91. I think she summed up nicely how we should be pursuing science when she spoke on the floor of the House, saying, quote, "I'm a strong believer in evidence-based policymaking, and whereas there is evidence of good, we have a moral obligation to pursue and explore the parameters of that good, even if it means challenging our past assumptions or admitting past wrongs," unquote. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak just signed a bill into law that will effectively kill any chance of the state seeing the opening of commercial social use marijuana businesses, at least for the next couple of years. Assembly Bill 533 sets a 2-year ban on any Nevada town or city allowing for social use businesses that expires on July 1st, 2021. That is bad news to a lot of people in Las Vegas, which passed new rules in May that would have allowed for the opening of cannabis consumption lounges. Assembly Bill 533 also sets up a cannabis compliance board, which Governor Sisolak has compared to those that oversee Nevada gambling and alcohol. Open up Marijuana Business Daily for more on this, including a link to the bill's language itself, which lays out more on how the compliance board will function. Definitely a must-read for anyone in Nevada. Our final top story today brings us out to Michigan, where the Detroit Free Press has a good piece looking at how the transition has gone in the state from the old marijuana licensing board to the new and in-charge marijuana regulatory agency, which was created by Governor Gretchen Whitmer and that took over just last month. The old marijuana licensing board was widely criticized for the glacial pace with which it reviewed cannabis business licenses, a situation that built up over the course of last year to include a ping-ponging deadline for when unlicensed shops were to have closed down. I'm very happy to report that the Detroit Free Press is reporting that the new marijuana regulatory agency is doing a much, much better job. Last month, in its first full month as an entity, it was able to process 213 marijuana business licenses, which compares to the average of 95 a month that were handled under the old regime. One of the ways the new agency is able to achieve a faster processing rate is by considering applications as they come in rather than once a month as had been done before. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Mason Jar Event Group, which is there for you when you need help pulling off a special cannabis-related business event, be it a party or launch event, or as we used Mason Jar Event Group for last year, a live podcast recording. Kendall and her team at Mason Jar Event were definitely there for us last November in Las Vegas as we threw a big party and 14-person podcast recording during the Marijuana Business Daily Conference. Every detail was covered and the whole event was a big success thanks to Mason Jar Event Group. So I'm speaking from personal experience here when I tell you that they are very good at their jobs. And that expertise carries over to the signature event that Mason Jar holds on a regular basis with a harvest, supper, and marketplace planned for October. Swing over to masonjareventgroup.com to learn more about how Kendall and her team at Mason Jar can make your life easier and your cannabis events more awesome. Because who can't use more awesome in their life? All right, time for the Blitz. The Gallup organization has a very useful poll up on CBD oils, which show that 39% of U.S. adults think that CBD oils should be made available as an over-the-counter medicine, with 21% thinking they should be made available only as prescription medication, and only 2% saying they should not be made available at all. That is a remarkable number. 36% of respondents say they're not familiar with CBD, another notable stat for sure. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission is hiring a new inspector to travel around the state, making sure that legal marijuana businesses are staying in compliance. The new position comes with benefits and a salary as high as $80,000 a year. Applicants should have a bachelor's degree in a writing-intensive major and at least a couple of years of inspection experience. Pop over to Mass Live for more on this one. Speaking of the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, the regulatory body just approved yesterday the sale of in-state marijuana company New England Treatment Access to the multi-state cannabis operator Surterra Wellness. New England Treatment Access is a vertically integrated company with 2 adult-use dispensaries opened up in Northampton and Brookline, a part of the greater Boston area. The deal, which was first announced back in January, still needs to be approved by town officials in Brookline before it's closed and final. Cleveland.com took a good look at what is holding up the 38 licensed dispensaries in Ohio that have yet to open up. In all, 56 dispensary licenses have been granted, and just 18 of those have been able to open. Last week, state cannabis officials met with representatives of 30 of the 38 yet to open to gather information on the slower than anticipated rollout. Most of the delays were blamed on construction holdups and local licensing issues. Noted marijuana entrepreneur and activist Steve DeAngelo of California-based cannabis company Harborside is launching a new initiative called the Last Prisoner Project that will work to free people in jail for cannabis-related crimes. DeAngelo spoke with Cheddar about the bold goals of his new organization, which seeks nothing short than the release of every person on the planet jailed for marijuana, as well as how he plans to fund the work. In short, he'll be tapping wealthy individuals and companies in the legal cannabis space. This is important stuff, so a good thing to have a handle on. On Wednesday, the House Armed Services Committee voted in favor of a proposed bill that will allow the U.S. military some leeway in accepting the reenlistment of members of the military who may have used cannabis in the past. As it stands now, people in the military are usually barred from reenlisting if they've used marijuana in the past. The new proposed bill, put forth by Representative Ruben Gallego of Arizona, would allow the military to grant waivers, quote, if the secretary determines that the reenlisting of that covered person is vital to the national interest, unquote. In this case, a so-called covered person is someone separated from military service who consumed cannabis during that time. And finally for today, Marijuana Business Daily is a good chart of the week showing how saturated various legal marijuana cities are in terms of cannabis dispensaries, Starbucks, and McDonald's. As you might not be too surprised to hear, marijuana dispensaries in the cannabis-friendly cities of Portland, Oregon, and Denver, Colorado have a higher concentration than coffee shops or burger joints. Seattle, Washington, home of the Starbucks Corporation, is an outlier on the chart with more of those shops than dispensaries. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the Mason Jar Event Group, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the lesser ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.